Good afternoon, everyone. I am TK 10962 from the UK Garrison and the 501st Legion. I am joined this afternoon by Mr. Alan Austen and Mr. John Mogridge. Some of you will recognise them from various elements within Facebook where they do post. We're fortunate enough they were Stormtroopers in the film The Empire Strikes Back, and that's part of the reason for today's interview. Good afternoon, gentlemen. I trust you're both okay.
Yeah, hi, Rob. Afternoon.
I'm aware that you both had several roles within Empire, but today, for me personally, I want to focus on your roles as TK Stormtroopers. That's sort of what's important. Obviously, yesterday being TK 41 day throughout the Legion, that's sort of why this is very important, or important to me. So what were you doing as day jobs at the time that you got cast for your roles in Empire? John first, I suppose.
Well, you could do Alan.
Oh, okay.
Do it alphabetically.
Yeah, okay. Alan?
Well, I just got sacked from a really good job, actually. I applied to the FAA, Film Artists Association, which was the union for background work in those, and Central Castings, which Central Castings is known worldwide. That was where you got, you called in to see if there was any work for the next day, or they'd call you, and so literally I was newly unemployed, but the job was going to go anyway. I mean, I didn't know how this was going to go with, working in the film business.
Yeah.
But if work had come in, then the job would have gone in any case. But no, they got to me before I got to them.
Thank you, John.
Well, mine was similar to Alan. I started just about a month before him. My first job, I'd been working in like office jobs, messenger and stuff like that. And I got my first job was in The World is Full of Married Men. That was a film about a month before I got Empire. Nothing that come after that. And then, of course, Empire came along and we got on it. And we didn't know each other at that point. We never knew each other, just worked on it.
Oh, okay. In terms of the cast, obviously, it was your casting agents at the time said, we've got this new film coming up. Or how was Empire sold to you, I guess?
Do you want to tell a story, John, or from your point of view, or should I?
Phone it. We used to phone in on the evening before, like this sort of time of day. We'd phone in, and then they say to us, "Oh, nothing at the moment," or they say, "Elstree Studios, 8 o'clock, Empire Strikes Back. Phone down." That was it.
Yeah,
well,
literally.
Literally no information, just time and a place, and there you go. Wow.
You didn't get it. It was a bit of a mess.
Yeah.
So pen and paper at hand.
I mean, I phoned in. I'd been phoning in for a couple of weeks by this time, with nothing. And this was getting a bit disconcerting, to be honest. What my expectations were, but yeah, it was. Phoned in, and they just said to me, "How tall are you?" And I said, 5'11". Oh, can you be 5'10"? Yeah. Elstree Studios tomorrow, whatever the call time was. I think it was about 6 a.m., something like that. A film called The Empire Strikes Back, and that was the only information they gave us.
Wow. So was it literally you sort of turned up? Was the Stormtrooper role your first role in Empire?
Well, actually, there's Hoth Rebels to begin with.
You did a lot of the Hoth battle things first. Sorry, John.
And we never got to be a Stormtrooper until a bit later. When we started in the March, we were rebel pilots. Then we were snow troopers, and towards the end of my run, anyway, we were Stormtroopers from June to July sometime.
By that time, you knew a lot more about the film. When you first found out it was Empire, did you know anything about the first movie, or did you know much about what Empire was about?
Well, I mean, on when I first got there, I just had to ask for some, what's this film all about? Oh, it's a sequel to Star Wars. That was, I knew what Star Wars was, of course, but it wasn't until I got there that I realised it was the sequel to A New Hope.
Pretty much the same. I've seen Star Wars because my younger brother had gone and seen it in 77 when it first came out. You'd round the block to see it. So when they said Empire Strikes Back, I knew what it was. I didn't know what I was going to do in it or how long it was going to last. I thought it was just like most of the jobs we got, one day, and it was one day at a time, and it went on and on and on.
Yeah, we sat in from day one for a whole week. We were sat in a dressing room. That's how John and I struck up a conversation and got to know each other. And we realised that we only lived literally 20 minutes away from each other. We didn't know it was, we just didn't know how long it was going to go on for. And it was a question of, every day, can you come back tomorrow? Can you come back tomorrow? And that's how we carried on.
Oh, brilliant. Oh, that's something nice that came out of it very early on then. If you two sort of became friends while you were waiting for your screen time, that's must be a bit pleasurable.
Back in the dressing room, and I didn't know anyone. Al knew the Garfield brothers and Peter Ross. I didn't know them. Al was one of the first people I spoke to. We still know Peter and a few of the other people that we started on, Chris Parsons, and we've met them on Empire, and we still talk to them now.
Oh well, the Star Wars world does tend to make lasting friendships. That's one thing I think I've become quite aware of. So you guys are a good testament to that. So when you first saw you had to get measured and sized for your Stormtrooper suit, what did you think of that, or what went through your mind?
It's going to be uncomfortable. That's because they're all made. One size. Well, say one size fit. They were made to fit somebody around about the height of 5'10". So every suit was the same, and every costume was the same. And if you'd been much shorter than 5'10", you'd have struggled to get into it. If you'd been much taller than 5'10", it wouldn't have fitted you.
Right.
So, I was 5'11", and, an inch didn't make any difference really. But yeah, I managed to get into it. But yeah, we knew it was going to be uncomfortable, although we're fitting us. But we didn't really find out how uncomfortable until we were under those studio lights. And then we got used to them. In fact, people asked me how I managed to sit down in that costume. A lot of trial and error. I actually perfected how to lay down and have a sleep in it as well. You had to take
impressive.
It was, you just got used to it after a while.
I have a feeling now you could possibly do that as an instructional video now and sell that to all of us guys who dress up in them, because half of us don't know how to sit down or even kneel or lie down. So that's...
Well, from what I understand is that, your TKs cost you a lot of money. And, so you don't want to be breaking them. I must admit, by the time I'd finished on Empire, my costume was just held together with gaffer tape in the end. It was cracking and breaking everywhere.
Similar for you, John?
Well, the first thing is that the black suit underneath. It's a one piece with a zip up the back. I don't know what yours are like.
Yeah, we tend to use two-piece suits because it's just a little bit easier getting into and out.
Yeah, well, these were one-piece suits, and there was no... Well, let's put it this way. Going to the toilet was difficult if you had to go.
Well, it was at the back.
You don't have 20, 19 going on 20. I was just 20. And you don't really want another bloke of that age. Can you come with me to the toilet? You know what I mean? Because you've got to have someone undo you.
Yeah.
But once we got it on, we stayed with the lower part, the thigh part, which is held on by a belt. We kept them on. As soon as we could, that came off. But it was all popper studs and everything, so it went on quickly. And of course, the actual body part is one piece. We just opened it like a clamshell and just walked into it. Putting the poppers, the elastic together. After a couple of days, you could do it in blindfold.
Ah, okay, yeah. So obviously, the more you wore it, the more comfortable it became and less awkward. Looking back over 42 years since you're in Empire, did you think we'd still be talking about it as we are today?
No, I certainly didn't. John and I both often say, we wished maybe we paid more attention. I don't know. We couldn't even imagine, that it was going to be a success. Even at the time, sequel to Star Wars, but quite often sequels don't work. You know, we had no knowledge that they had Return of the Jedi planned as well. So obviously George Lucas and his team were a lot more optimistic that the trilogy was going to work. But we had no idea. You know, I mean, it was my first film, and but I certainly got the impression that I was working on something big. And Star Wars itself was a big hit, so there was no reason why Empire Strikes Back couldn't be. But we had no idea. I mean, all these years on, it's just, well, I just find it fascinating that it's been such a huge success. But no, at the time, no one had any idea. We didn't.
I think if we'd known, we'd have probably taken some photographs, which wasn't allowed, but we know some people did.
Late 70s, obviously mobiles weren't around then, so it would have been quite a big clunky camera, and we're all aware that those sort of things don't go on set.
Well, they wouldn't allow it. The rumour was, no one actually told us, but if you got caught with a camera, you were chucked off.
Right.
That's what we were told, and we were too new to take a risk.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. We just, like you said, it was day work. You didn't know really if you were working day to day, so why take the risk, I guess?
Yeah, no. Block your copybook, just starting.
No, absolutely. That's a great insight into sort of how you got the Empire gig and everything. So I guess sort of moving a little bit onto I suppose the key scene for you both as Stormtroopers, which is the carbon freezer scene. That's obviously both of you almost arm in arm with Harrison Ford as Han Solo. Prior to that scene sort of starting, were you aware that most of the stars of the film were actually on set at the same time?
Yeah, well, we used to work with them, on a regular basis. I mean, I first started to chat to Harrison Ford when in the tunnels of Hoth, and that was very early days. John managed to get all of their autographs for his younger brother. We built up quite a rapport with them because, we worked on it for so long. 2 days turned into months and months. There were the odd break, I mean, me personally, we don't need you tomorrow, Alan. We'll give you a call for next week. And that used to worry me at the time because I thought, that's it. They don't have to.
Yeah.
The crew got to know us, and I think it was undue worries. But I mean, it was mainly the only thing that I was working on for that whole period of '79. Although, like I say, I did go off and do a couple of other things as well, only because this one we don't need you for a few days. So I'd phone in, and castings would come up with something else. But again, they were very much aware that we were by now entrenched in the movie, so castings were aware that they wouldn't give us anything that was going to clash.
Okay.
So
I mean, we've been working with them by that time we did the carbon freezing chamber. We've been on it 3 months, near enough, on and off.
Okay, so it wasn't a shock.
No, we'd seen everyone, spoken to them. Not always like they wasn't buddies, but Billy D. Williams. But I think Billy D. Williams came into the film a bit later. But he was about.
We actually were building the set, the carbon freezer. We actually, the work was going. Working on other scenes and doing other things on the movie. So we knew at some point that we were going up there.
Okay. Because that scene itself was on effectively a raised platform, wasn't it?
It was.
Yeah, very high.
Knowing what it's like wearing a Stormtrooper outfit myself, was it easy moving around? Did you have to be very careful in case you fell off the edge, or did anyone fall off the edge?
You were careful, but I'm not aware of anyone falling, not deliberately. It was a stunt. I don't know of anyone though.
Oh, okay.
You did tread carefully up there.
So how long did that whole sort of sequence take to do? I'm aware that the magic makes it look very, very short. In reality, that could be several days. But
look, when I finished, I got a call sheet from the end of July, from the 10th of July. That's when I finished. We carried on a little bit longer. We were doing the Cloud City and all that stuff. We were doing that by then, so that was in July. And I know towards the end of May we were doing off, and then we went into Snowtroopers in the beginning of June, I think. So it's somewhere between June and July, I would guess. But that's just 43 years ago.
Fondest memory from that scene. From that scene.
What, from the film or?
I guess fondest memory from your time on Empire.
Making sure we didn't get anything wrong. Now, it's very important. If you know what films are very expensive to make, and if you get things wrong, you regret that. Well, we get someone else. It's very simple. I mean, it's a bit cutthroat in that respect. So when we were starting out, you were just extra careful. You deliberately do things wrong, but you just make sure you did do things wrong.
Okay.
So there's stress. But yeah, it was a good time. A lot of people on there we still know. So yeah, it was a great time.
Yeah, so many fond memories. I mean, there really are. I mean, I still to this day, often my mind wanders back to when we were on set. I've actually written the first draft of a book about our exploits on the film, but so many fond memories. I mean, Carrie Fisher was an absolute dream. Harrison Ford was very witty. Mark Hamill was very, very friendly. But lots of fond memories. But I guess really, one of the fondest for me is getting to know the other guys, like getting to know John. I was friends with the Garfield brothers and Peter Ross. But getting to know Chris Parsons, who's a regular on the convention scene. So it was a rite of passage as far as I was concerned. It was about growing up on a film set.
I think if us hadn't been on it for so long, it'd have taken us ages to learn the ropes. But because we were on it with like older people, like Alan Harris and a few others, Tony Allen, a few others, we learned what we had to do by watching them. And because we were on it for so long, it made it easier.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. Were you working off a script, or was it literally if you can stand there and then do this when so and so walks past? And what was the sort of direction like for you both as Stormtroopers?
Well, the direction. I mean, no, we weren't working from. I mean, it wasn't obviously a script, and in the script it would have said, 2 Stormtroopers step forward, or whatever.
Yeah.
But no, coming from the assistant directors, who were both the two that we worked with on that, or that really stand out, was Roy Button and Chris Lanning, who I believe that one of them is now the head of Warner Brothers UK. So I mean, that's 40 odd years ago, and they were probably not much older than us. They were probably around about 30 or early 30s at that time. But they were both very experienced in the industry. But yeah, they're mostly the two guys. I mean, Roy Butt probably more than anybody else were just, this is what's going to happen, explain what's going to happen, what he needed us to do. And he'd be taking his orders from Dave Tomlin, who was the first assistant, who was basically, what can I say, being a sheepdog to as I'm getting older, I'm getting terrible with names. But actually, he was actually herding the director, who was, I mean, I'd never seen a Hollywood director at work before, and obviously he's one of the greats. We talk about eccentric. He was extremely eccentric. And Dave Tomlin basically kept him in line and kept him in shape. Yeah, it was quite simplistic stuff. But I remember on the day that we were in the carbon, well, it was several days in the carbon chamber, but for the scene where John and I put, Harrison Ford into the carbonator, Kirshner must have called me a bad stormtrooper at least half a dozen times. No, he's a good stormtrooper, bad stormtrooper. And I had to say to Dave Tomlin, because I was getting a bit worried, and I said whispered to Dave Tomlin, I said, Dave, can I ask a question? He said, yeah, what's that, Alan? I said, am I a good stormtrooper or a bad stormtrooper? And he said, Alan, you're a very good stormtrooper. Don't worry about Kirshner. Leave him to me. He's under my control.
That's probably my questions in terms of life as a stormtrooper in a motion picture for you both, which has been great. I'm now going to offer over to you if there's anything that you'd like to add.
Al?
Well, I dug out a few photographs from behind the scenes. Just I should imagine that most people are aware of the photos that John and I signed.
Yeah.
But I know dug some out. I thought you might like to see some examples. But this was on a break in the carbon chamber scene. As you can see, we've all perfected the art of sitting down by this time. You can see Carrie Fisher there, John there, some of the guys up top. Chris Parsons is right at the very top there. You can see how uncomfortable the costumes were. I mean, Chris would often sit putting the chest plate away from his throat, because that's kind of where they dig in, especially if you're tempted to sit down.
Yes.
But yeah, so that's. I mean, I've got a very vivid memory of that. You know, when I first saw this photograph, it all came flooding back to me. I've also got the costume set up for the Bespin Guards.
Yeah.
Self and two of the Garfield brothers, with obviously, you know, Lando in the middle. This was just a photo shoot to send, you know, to give the producers an idea of what the costumes look like.
Okay. Yeah.
There's a deleted scene. That's John and I as Snowtroopers. This is where there was things all went wrong. There was a loud bang in the background, which made us all jump a little bit, but also we were going too fast, and we just crashed into each other. We went straight through the polystyrene wall, and that's me wriggling around on the floor with John just teetering over me. That's John into carbonite.
Yeah.
Okay. So
it's a great photo. Great photo.
Yeah, I just thought I'd just dig those out. I've also got, I forgot, I couldn't find it actually. I think I probably sold them all. The Laughing Carrie, where, you know, I don't know if you've seen that photograph of Carrie between two stormtroopers, and she's in fits of laughter. I won't tell you the story behind that because it's in my book. The book actually comes out, but it's a very funny story. Also created by Carrie, and it took her ages to to compose herself.
If I may, is that you and John in that photo with her?
Not me.
It's myself and a guy called Peter Harris, and I often get asked what's happened to Peter. I wish I knew. We don't know.
Anything from you, John, on today?
Yeah, we're surprised at the honour. We are honoured to get this. We know what good work the 501st in all the countries that they work and do a lot for charity. I didn't realise there's nearly 15. Is it 15,000?
15,000 active members.
Yeah, I mean that is a lot of people to give up their time, spend a lot of money on costume, do a lot of work, good work for charity, and yeah, it makes you feel a bit humble. Yeah, thanks very much, Rob, and Albin for honouring us this way. Brilliant.
It's been completely my pleasure today, and I probably do speak for the 15,000, and just so thank you for what you did for us. Without you, we probably wouldn't be here doing what we do. So you did play a part in that, and giving us all the idea and the costume options. So thank you.
Well, I wish I could say that, yeah, but George Lucas played a major part. So, but you do a great job, all of you, and thanks for you've given both of us today.
And I think also, I think John would agree with this as well. It's because of you guys with 501st and what you do, it helps to keep Star Wars alive, and certainly it helps to get John and I conventions, which we love doing. But thank you guys as much as you thanked us, because it could have been a forgotten little trilogy from 40 years ago. Luckily, it turned into something much bigger than that.
That's probably it for today, gentlemen. So I'm going to say thank you.